Hey, my name's Chrissy, and I have a severely handicapped daughter. She has a rare genetic disorder called Frizzle, and when she was 2, she lost all of her abilities and regressed, and she can't hold her head up, she can't sit up, she can't stand, she can't eat on her own without assistance from equipment. So she's severely handicapped. She needs 24/7 care and help. And when she regressed, it was a very hard time for us to see her lose her abilities. But we rejoice and we're thankful that she just turned 6. So she just had a birthday, and that's what I want to talk about today is birthdays. I think birthdays, we can be excited about them, but at the same time for handicapped parents of handicapped kids, there can be oftentimes of either remembering loss or feeling discouraged even when you are trying to find presents for your child, especially if they have extreme limitations on their abilities. So trying to find presents that they could enjoy and that would bring them delight and fun is just sometimes can almost be like harder than you'd expect. Like you want to get them something fun, but at the same time, it just becomes this like stressful burden, and you're trying to think of things that aren't just like simple baby toys, especially as my daughter gets older. She doesn't want to play with baby toys. She wants fun stuff, and trying to figure out age-appropriate toys that we can adapt or make it possible for her to play with can sometimes be hard. So 3 things that I feel like I've learned so far when it comes to birthdays, and I definitely feel like I learned the hard way, is first of all, the most important thing I think is to remember, look back over the year. So take some time either before the birthday or on the birthday and spend time looking back over the year and celebrate whatever it is from the year that you can rejoice and be excited about. So that could be accomplishing new milestones or being able to finally do something for the first time in a long time. It could also mean just celebrating that you didn't go backwards, that your child's at status quo, that you didn't have to go to the hospital that year. Like anything that you can find to celebrate and say, wow, like this is something we can be excited about, looking at this last year of her life that we just got through. And so I think taking time to be thankful and looking for those key things that you can celebrate and remind yourself that your child is like, if they're reaching new milestones, and even if they're like the smallest milestone, you can be encouraged that they're like making progress. If it's status quo, you're just thankful that they weren't in the hospital. And I know that could be hard if actually the opposite happened, if it was a really rough year. I think, again, you can get to a place where, like, we are here in this moment and start to count the blessings that you have around you. We're a family. Or my child is, like, here with me in this moment. There'll be times where I'm even, like, overwhelmed by hard things in life, and I just break it down to the smallest thing. Like, I am so thankful that we have a home to be in, or food to eat, or even more important, my daughter has doctors to help her. She has seizure medications that help reduce her seizures and protect her from dying from one. Just any of those things that you can walk through to be reminded of what you can be thankful for that's sustaining you in this moment. So on the birthday, just trying to find ways to put your heart towards thankfulness and celebration, even though there's like this constant hard that you face every day. And then the second thing that I have kind of learned the hard way is that learning to celebrate with the people who engage your child. So especially if you have a child with limited abilities. So my daughter, she can't control her body, but the only thing she could control are her eyes. So she can use a communication device that reads her eyes on a computer, and she can select things and say stuff. And that has been like amazing for us with our relationship with our daughter. Like, she, for the first time, could say verbally, like, I love you, Mom, or come hold my hand, or give me a hug. And so her being able to speak through her computer is a huge gift. And we don't take that as like a small thing. Like, I'm so thankful. I'm so thankful for the speech therapist that helped encourage us to try it with our daughter. Her abilities are so limited that it almost would have been easy to like write it off as like, oh, well, maybe she doesn't know what's going on, which we've heard in the past, which is hard. But we knew in our gut, like, she understands what's going on. Like, we know she knows what's going on. And so once we got the computer, she was able to express and show us. And so she goes to school and she's learning her letters, and we see her making cognitive progress, and we are so excited about that. But again, she doesn't like verbally speak, she uses her computer. And so it can be hard for some people to know how to interact with her. Especially if her talker computer isn't in front of her, then she's making noises and facial expressions and movements. But if someone hasn't spent a lot of time with her, or hasn't asked us like, hey, what's going on? Or even just, I think there's people who are just naturally can just click with a child. They have this like ability in them to relate to children easily, and those people can just come up and instantly connect. And so I know there's people out there, there's been people in our life that have a hard time interacting and knowing how to interact. And it doesn't mean that they don't love her. It's just more challenging. And so I think in the past, I felt like I needed to have this like big party, because the more people, then the more it like should mean for Everly. And I think it became almost the opposite that happened. It was more stressful to have a lot of people standing around who weren't engaging Everly than to have like 3 people in our home who were interacting with Everly intensely. And so that's kind of my second suggestion, is finding people who interact with your child and making them part of that birthday celebration. Those are the people that are gonna want to sit and hold their hand or engage with your child however best they're able to. And even if it's a child that's extremely limited, even cognitively, you cherish those people who come up and want to like hold your child's hand or hug them or just talk to them, and just be with them. And so I've just learned that having a smaller group of people who will really engage with her is more of a blessing than to have a huge amount of people. And then I feel the stress of that Everly's almost being like ignored. And I don't mean this as like a negative to the people in our lives. Not at all. We know they love her, that we know they love us. It's just hard. It's hard to interact. And I never like would blame anyone for that. It's just tricky. And it like takes intentional effort to get to know her and to interact with her. And so it's more stressful on me if I see Everly kind of just sitting there with all these people around and they're all talking with each other but not really engaging with her. Then that's almost harder, because I want the day to be about her, and celebrating her. And she loves the attention. Like, she loves when people give her attention and celebrate her. Like, that's her favorite thing on her birthday, is when the people who are with us sing happy birthday to her, and she knows all the eyes are on her and she lights up and she loves it. So I've just learned that like it's less stress and more joy if I just keep it to a smaller amount of people that are going to love on my daughter and lavish her with attention. 'Cause that then like blesses us when people acknowledge her and interact with her and care about her. That means the world to us, because so much of our world we're in doesn't. And so when people come into our lives that want to connect with her, love her, and interact with her, that is the biggest gift to us. So that was number 2. And then number 3, I think the other thing I just realized with birthdays is that like the best thing to do on the birthday is some of this depends on your child's size, but as much as I can, I try to hold, snuggle, and just love on my child. And so every right now I still am able to hold her, which is kind of crazy because she's getting really tall, but I'm still able to hold her and hug her and talk with her. And she loves that. She like starts getting real excited with her verbal sounds and tries to talk with us with her own language and is so excited. She eats up when we just hold her and snuggle her. And we do that as much as possible regularly, like during the day. But on her birthday, we especially try to spend that time both focusing on her and like us having that family bond and interaction where we're just cherishing her. And so as she gets bigger, it's going to look different. It may mean that I just have to like cuddle up to her when she's in her bed, or if she's sitting up, or if she's in a wheelchair. There's lots of ways we work to hug her. But that's the other thing I feel like has blessed me, is if I take the time to stop and just love her well and hold her and enjoy her now in this moment, and trying to be very present on her birthday. So just kind of looking back, like the whole day is about, we're going to try and be thankful and rejoice in what we can, or that's happened over the past year and where we are with her, and just be thankful that we had another year of her life that we got to spend with her and our family, and then gather the people who will care about her and interact with her in a very special and unique way that blesses us as a family, but even more blesses her, and she finds great enjoyment off of that. And then lastly, just spend a ton of time just together as a family, loving her and giving her attention and affection, and so that she feels greatly loved. So I hope that's helpful, just kind of 3 things to think about when it comes to birthdays, and hopefully that's helpful.